Greetings and welcome. I am Joffrey, and I may or may not have accidentally selected the wrong stream. I kinda accidentally started the Silk Song stream that's happening after
Oh
this.
my god.
And then I was talking to people in the wrong video and was confused why none of the people that I was speaking to was actually responding because I even said I was saying hello to Hot Pocket and stuff and none of you guys were responding. I'm like, huh, this is weird. And then I scrolled up and saw it's like, wait, this stream isn't live yet. Refresh the page. Huh? Huh? What's going on? That's when I found out what was going on.
Yeah, unbelievable.
Yeah. Too much Silk Song on the brain. It is the correct amount of Silk Song on the brain, I will have you know.
Shake my head.
She's shaking her head.
Disapprovingly.
It is the correct amount of bugs on the brain. The bugs are very funny. And I will talk to the bugs as much as I damn will, please. You were incorrect. Why were you incorrect, Hot Pocket? 3 Tinto map feedbacks left to do. Oh. Well, what are the ones that are left? Uh. Oh. Okay. They're just lumping it all together. Never mind then. Well. This haggard start to the stream is very classic for the channel, I must say. Uh, Siberia, Tibet, and Oceania. What a thrilling combination, we'll say. Uh, Truly riveting selection of ooh boy. Alright, so I started yapping to myself about how amazing the English opening text crawl was, and how I think it's hilarious that they describe Balliol as a misguided stooge. Because I guess he is. In the north, our misguided stooge contends for the Scots crown. Less than 60 days now? Yeah. It's 2 months away. Uh, Crazy how soon that game's gonna be out. It's any second now. I've got I've got a lot of content that I want to make beforehand, but not quite ready. So it's gonna be a little squished in, but I'll still have time to make the pre-release uh, content about my mod, I'm sure. But Silk Song's gonna delay my stuff a bit, I figure. King of Scotland just poking Balliol in the eyes. Yeah. Well, I thought like the point. This is the English though. He's the stooge of the English. So the King of England, Edward III, is poking Balliol in the eyes. Do the funny. Attack Scotland for your claim. Come on, poke. But yes, apparently we're going to be discussing like 3 different English civil wars because the English love doing that. That is their favorite pastime is fighting over Magna Cartas and stuff. Yeah, the character models do look a lot better than they did initially. People were very upset. I was kind of upset, but I was upset because I personally uh, wanted stuff more like Stellaris, but I don't really play Stellaris, so who am I to talk? In the end, I think they look fantastic. It's just going to be a little tedious when it comes to being a modder because, oh boy, is it going to be difficult to go into the code and pre-set up characters' DNA looking like this. And then how the heck am I going to commission people to make the extra stuff in game for the different races that don't look humanoid enough? Just learn Blender. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, when all the races that aren't just human like, yeah, I get need stuff. It'll be uh-huh. elves and stuff. Elves, dwarves, those are easy. There's a couple other races that'll be in our mod that look enough close to humans that they won't need special models, but there's two that definitely will need the three actually that definitely need them. Yes, oh my goodness, thank you for the anime 2D sprites. This will fix everything. But what is lovely to see here, when we scroll down through the English diplomacy window or whatever, I guess this is your own overview window. You can't look at other people's overview windows, presumably. I don't know though. I certainly hope not. Now that I look at this, woo. Uh, but what is lovely to see now is that we've got the rather small but still existing Northumbrian culture, which is why, of course, based people are going to play as the bishopric of Durham. You got to play as the bishop of Durham, and then unite England under the Northumbrian theocracy of Durham. It's going to be amazing. Convert everyone to this beautiful burgundy color. Yeah, 477,000, which is a lot compared to like the Cornish, but it's 500,000. It's it's a sixth, less than a sixth, honestly, of the English culture proper. Only 10%, but that's still a fair amount of people. But they have uh they have a few of these personal unions, I guess. I don't know. No, marriages, royal marriages. They have a royal marriage with the French crown, I guess. They start with a royal marriage with France because the Hundred Years' War hasn't started yet. And then they've got lots of subjects. I'm very curious how the subjects in Wales work. I'm kind of because they keep changing what's going on in Wales. So I assume right now what's going on is that um, either the tag of Wales or March. Maybe actually what I'm gonna guess is that Wales and March are both vassals of England. Yeah, yeah, okay. There's Wales is on here, so there's gonna be another vassal that's March probably. So there will be like one vassal of England that's Wales and one that's March, and then March probably has all the rest of these goons as their vassals. Lancaster all the way down through to whatever these are. Um, Looks like Lancaster might own a couple exclaves of land down through Wales actually, which is funny. But yeah, I figured that all these other little shitters are vassals of March because they're the Marcher lords. But Durham is goaded and separate and extremely useless, but I'll definitely find a way to play them anyway. First playthrough, trust, trust. But yeah, of course, the map does look nice, and the Isle of Wight is an actual like landed location, which is really funny. Oh boy! Wow, England has some really bad crown power, and the nobles are incredibly powerful to start with. Woo! Kind of fixed how the terrain blends into each other. Eh, I haven't really paid all that much attention to the development of the terrain map because yeah, that's going to be an ongoing thing all the way up until release, and then even past it, they're going to probably still be updating the terrain map. I would certainly hope that this game ends up looking better than Imperator. Not that Imperator is bad, but it would be a shame if it didn't end up looking better. Jeez, England has a ton of like all of these. It's kind of hard to tell what's a town and what's a rural settlement because of all these buildings that show up in them. I kind of just thought that all tiles that have buildings showing up on them are a town or higher, but no, the rural settlements show up as well. Huh. That interesting. Would look so much prettier if it wasn't England. You're so right. Uh, if if this was all just Cornwall, it would look so much better. Let's fix that situation. Gotta just convert all to Cornish. Brythonic restoration time. Brrr. But the English have incredibly little crown power because they're um I don't know. The Magna Carta doesn't actually reduce the crown power, just increases the nobles, which explains why they're so powerful. 57% of the clout in the country is held by nobles. Independent Wales color is probably just gray, like it always is. And then I'm gonna guess that Cornwall would be black, because Cornwall's probably a tag, I assume. Grails, yeah. The Magna Carta, which gives you base parliament support. That is, I imagine that will definitely be worth the cost of nobles' power. And free subjects and individualism, don't know how good those are, but I mean, it's free subjects stacks well with yeomanry, the next thing on the list, which it makes the peasant levy 5% larger, and every increase, even small increases to the peasant levy size, is very important because the peasants are shockingly the vast majority of your nation. So it's a lot of people. But the yeomanry makes the nobles unhappy because I guess yeah, it's giving some peasants that own some small independent farms basically the rights of a lower nobility. So uh, the idea here is that the country, yeah, England's a lot more socially mobile than most places in Europe. Hmm. So free subjects make sense. And then it starts with longbow competitions enabled, which gives more power to the peasants. The levies are more powerful, and you become more belligerent because people are just yeah, everyone trains with the longbow, which means that the English levies are going to be pretty damn useful. I figure that this sort of aspect of England is probably going to mean that you don't need to worry as much about trying to build a professional army quickly because your levies will just be pretty strong. So you'll have lots of levies and they'll be strong. So for the early stages of the game, you can probably survive with just focusing on giving out privileges to the peasants to make levies stronger. Mind you, the problem with that is, of course, that anytime you fight a war, you're losing pops, which is not good. So, and we all know anyway that in multiplayer games, people are going to be uh, burning their entire populations to the ground. You're going to have situations where you have people playing in Asia, and people will reduce India and China to having European levels of population because they'll burn through their entire population fighting endless wars against each other. Never played EU4 multiplayer because it's awful. It's kind of rough. Is kind of rough. I'm having a good time right now playing a multiplayer of EU4. Uh, EU4 with the Ambinar mod. Though the more that Ambinar goes along, the more its magic system starts to become a little ridiculous in the ways that you can attack other countries with it on a large scale, and it's starting to just piss me off when I'm playing in multiplayer games of it, and then someone just can drop a meteor on my fort and destroy it 3 times in one war. It's like, oh my god. Mind you, EU5 multiplayer is probably we're probably gonna figure out quickly how it'll be super unbalanced. I mean, we've already seen that the AI is incapable of adapting to a player who just builds tall. It's like as long as a player builds tall with lots of cities in close proximity to their capital, and then just builds a bunch of manpower buildings in those, the AI just will be incapable of keeping up with your professional army and they'll just melt. So I don't know what they can possibly do to try and fix that, but here's hoping they're able to accomplish something for it because it will be very sad if the AI just doesn't do that and then players walk over the AI all the time. The English Parliament is a distribution of power law that's unique, and one that they'll most likely, I imagine, keep for the rest of the game. I don't imagine they'll get rid of this unless they become a republic or something. No, even then, this is distribution of power. They might keep this even if they are a even if they're a republic, they might still have this. I don't know. But yeah, this is where their big penalty to crown power comes from because they both have stuff that's boosting the nobles' influence and then also 33% less power for the crown. So, yeah, no wonder they're kneecapped and basically unable to do stuff. It's going to be a huge pain, especially like what if I want to culture convert stuff? Nope. Nope. No culture conversion, no incorporating of states. You got to do it through vassals. That's another thing I want to see them fix is the fact that we've seen through YouTubers that apparently they don't even use the integrate like cabinet action and just always end up releasing vassals and then integrating the vassal and that cores the land for them, which is like that's something that I would intend to do and I felt like it would be very strong, but because I've always been a big vassal enjoyer, but it scares me that that basically is going to be just the meta because the integrate territory action just isn't going to be very useful. So I hope there's a way that it can become a little more important to use. But, don't know exactly how good the agenda impacts are. Presumably that means that it gives you a bigger bonus, whatever the bonus was going to be. Or maybe it makes them more happy. Don't know. They've got a couple of unique buildings as well. The Chinke, Chinke port? I don't know. And another that can be expanded, the Royal Forest. So, static or expanded? So, does that mean that there's a couple that are already built? There's a couple of these Chinke ports that are already built and you can't make more of them? Building cost? I don't know. Baby nephews invaded your room to nap. Well, my sympathies to you for being exiled. Truly, my friend. Yes. Uh, for me, when my little brother comes into the room, he ends up just staring and hoping to see that I'm doing something interesting, which I am not right now, because this isn't Silk Song, so it's not interesting to him.
Not me.
What about you?
I stare at you a lot.
Yeah, but I pretend you aren't staring at me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just don't acknowledge it, because if I don't acknowledge you staring at me, then it goes away.
Bored.
Yeah, exactly. I just can't acknowledge that you're staring at me, so if I don't feed into it, you'll stop.
You know me so well.
Yep.
But Peter, pretzels, I want them.
You can no, you could get the pretzels yourself. You're already there.
But I'm comfortable.
So am I. I don't even know where they are. I don't even know where I don't.
They're in the blue bag.
You're the one who knows where they are.
Starve.
I want you to go get your own damn pretzels, woman.
Joffrey starves his girlfriend. Cancel him.
This isn't what I deal with.
Not that blue bag.
What the other blue bag? What other blue bag?
That blue bag. It's down there at the end of the bed.
That's not blue.
Oh, I can't see it.
You can't see it's your bag. You should just know what it is.
Oh,
Like-
green.
I can see why you want me to get it for you, because you get covered in random shit. And now there's chocolate on the floor. What are you doing?
Oh, why'd you do that? Not my chocolate. I don't want the pretzels. There's over. I want those pretzels. I got this for you. I got this for you.
Well, be more specific then.
You're so mean.
I give her the pretzels and she still complains. I can't do anything right. God damn it! What's the? I mean, the port's not that unusual. Just okay. Well, 100% burger power. Love burgers. Burger power. But what's? Oh yeah, these symbols are like yeah, whether it's rural, town, or city. So you can build pachinko ports yeah, anywhere, which is crazy to think about if that's true. You can build them on every single coastal tile for extra 3 monthly sailors. It just makes the burgers super powerful in the location though, and it does employ burgers too. So, and it gives you shipbuilding capacity. So, production methods. Yeah, you still got to worry about the production methods though. I get. But the Royal Forest. This is one that's. I don't think really seen buildings like this before. Huh. This is very unique. Like there's a unique effect here too. I also there's a bunch of UI that's not working properly because I guess they didn't properly assign or maybe haven't decided what type of pop should be employed here. Huh. But regardless, it gives 50% more crown power to the location. So anytime you want to use a cabinet action on that tile, it's better. And then the maximum control goes up a bit at the cost of development growth being lower by 10%, which isn't the worst, because I mean, you already get, like, what, a 25% dev penalty on forests and other wooded tiles. But this says you cannot upgrade the location. That's a key thing here. Cannot upgrade location. So you build this. Yeah. The Charter of the Forest allows great hunting preserves to fall under the direct control of the crown. A forest, quote unquote, in this sense, is not necessarily heavily wooded, just good for hunting. So you can build this Royal Forest Charter, I guess, any place that's a rural location that you don't plan to upgrade. And you can. So theoretically, the idea is that you can have like a farmland tile, and this farmland tile is um like it just makes food. I guess they're just growing wheat there, or they've got wool, and you um, like it's just producing wool or wheat or something there. And despite the fact that it's there's nothing to do with hunting there, it's not wild game. The idea that you build this royal forest there, and then the idea is that somewhere in that location there is then this royal hunting ground, and it will just it being there gives you the crown more control over the region, I suppose, because it's like the equivalent of medieval federal property. Yes, yes. By by the passing of the forest acts, this forest is now under a direct rule from London. Yeah. And I do like that we can't see all of the production methods here. Wait, why does it produce something? It actually produces something? Does it produce wild game? I swear, that's amazing if it does, because it produces, like, it costs some wine and then a couple other things, so probably, like, wine, armaments, and something else. And if it produces a wild game, I will scream. That's hilarious. I love it. If it's an actual building that you can construct, I will totally use that. Just plop down these royal hunting grounds for extra crown power in a given location, and then it just it gives a production of uh, furs and shit. I mean, not fur. There's no way we do furs, but wild game can be used to replace leather and such. Our island home is a unique. Oh, lion hearts. What is this? Why is it not telling us about that one? That sounds like it's a unique one for England too. But regardless. Uh, Unique advances for the beginning of the game for them. Maritime presence plus 20% sounds very nice. Presumably that means that there's 20% more maritime presence just off the off the coast of their lands. In America, the burger of the state should be burgers. Yes, yes. You are so clever. Such cleverness, Hot Pockets. You are full of great wisdom indeed. Yes, the burgers. Yes, a hamburger. Maritime presence is going to be very nice for England because, shockingly, they're an island. Also, Great Britain. So yeah, anyone who forms Great Britain will also get all the English stuff. Presumably, all the English and the Scottish stuff. I hope at least. War bows. In the Age of Traditions, you also get this, and yeah, you get to the yeomanry estate privilege. Yeah, I think they start with that given out though, and then you get your levies changed to be war bows. I figure that this whole like unlocking different levies, I think that's gonna have to be something that modders like myself lean on heavily, where there might need to be some like because it says unlocks the Warbow's army levies, but we haven't seen how you choose or if you can choose. Um,
What?
Nothing.
You should talk to me?
Just staring.
Okay.
We haven't seen how you actually assign the different army levies or like how you can choose what they are because you unlock the unique one, but lots of people get new unique levies as the game goes on. So I wonder how you would choose which ones you get, and I think that that's something where modders are going to need to lean on that heavily to when it comes to making different races unique units and such. Have to lean into using this mechanic where basically every tag will get unique levies based on tech, and they'll be forced to use them instead of the vanilla ones, I guess. But to know how you assign stuff like that, who knows? Maybe there's stop, stop. Maybe there's a like prioritization system where it's just like, oh, this one is just known to be like the one that's supposed to be used by the game. I don't know. I hope there's an easy enough way that you can tell the game which ones are supposed to be used when they're researched. But yeah, 3% of valid pops will be raised as warbows. I army levy national naval levy. Okay, maybe I'm just stupid and this is the way where you there's a law and I just didn't know that there's a law and I was staring at it this whole time. Maybe this is a law that I just didn't know about, which determines what your levies are like, army slash naval levy. So what I wonder then is, since 3% of valid pops will be raised as warbows, the thing that I'm curious about then is how much of your levies, because it says 3% of valid pop. Does that mean of the levies? So like 3% of your levies will be warbows? So you'll recruit your big old stack of levies, and then 3% of those levies will be warbows, and the rest of them will just be shitters. Don't know, but it's a curious thought, and if that's the case, then that will mean that you know, the whole idea that I was just saying for how you can make in fantasy mods the different races have unique levies that'll have to work a little differently if that's the case, where it only raises like 3% of the levies as the unique type. And there is some stats for them. I don't really know enough. I'd need to see a big old compilation of stats to really understand how good they are. But I'm gonna type infantry. That's I guess. I guess this is the well, this is manpower cost. So no, this is like the fact that you can choose to recruit them as a normal unit. Theoretically, you're able to recruit the warbows as just a normal unit as well, professional troops. That's why it would cost manpower to upkeep. And then you can research longbowmen, which in the Age of Renaissance. So this is pretty early. Pretty early in the game, you're going to be swapping over from warbows to longbow levies then, which curiously reduces the amount of valid pops that are raised as them. So it only raises 2% instead of 3%. And the numbers don't really change here. Numbers look basically identical. It's probably an error of some sort. I don't see any difference between these units. The only difference I see between them at all is the description, name, and the fact that the longbowmen cost more manpower to maintain. So I imagine that this is probably an error and that they do actually have significant differences. I also am surprised like it costs more manpower to maintain. I figure that it would cost it would be a larger regiment or something too. And then you get reformed longbowmen in the Age of Discovery, which requires halberdiers, but yeah, reformed longbowmen. And this gives you yet again your third. Uh, I guess this is probably the last time that the English get longbows as levies, because after the Age of Discovery, once you get to the Age of Reformation, I think that's when people stop using bows quite so much. But it's curious that yeah, all the way through the Age of Discovery, the first like what 200 years of the game, England is just using massed amounts of peasants with bows. Reformed longbowmen. Small innovations in equipment and organization result in continuous devastating volleys that shatter all but the most heavily armored formations. I mean, yeah, uh, don't disrespect the longbow for its armor-piercing power. Stuff is deadly. And then the reformed longbow stats as well looks identical, except it costs more food. I don't know. I don't know what's up with these images, but maybe they'll explain something in the dev responses. Just costs more for some reason. And oh, yeah. The only things they're showing really for the first few ages were just the longbow innovations. That's weird. And then there's the one that gave maritime presence. Really, there's something for the second age other than the longbows, right? I don't know. But the Eltham Ordnance. Production efficiency 5%, not bad. First attempt to streamline the royal bureaucracy of England and make it more responsive and cost effective. Okay. I guess that these are seals then. Oh, little rows. The English Bill of Rights in the Age of Absolutism. How ironic, Age of Absolutism, and it's like, oh yeah, but the English get their Bill of Rights for 1% estate satisfaction equilibrium. That's pretty small, but yeah, whatever. And you get redcoats, regular regiment in the last age. That's the Age of Revolution. So the very end of the game, the English pull out the redcoats, which have a they have a stat there I haven't seen before. This bugle and a arrow the bugle's broken and this arrow turning, and so something to do with morale. And then there's a yeah, it's minus 10% of something. So minus 10% morale damage taken. That would make sense to me. Life in the English army is grueling and strictly regimented, but it instills in a man a certain character. Their stiff upper lip and expertise with firearms puts fear in the hearts of our enemies. Ho, ho, ho. Now that's a whole 3,200 per regiment, and it costs 64 manpower a month. Woo! Late game really is going to be like that, I guess. Eh. They've also explained that before that different parts of the map are going to have different sized levies. So I'm curious how that's going to work because supposedly like China will have each levy unit in China will just be a lot more men per unit, and same with India. So I'm curious how those things will work functionally, and how when it comes to modding, whether it will be worth paying attention to that sort of thing for modding as well. The size of levies and regular regiments being changed. And then forming Great Britain. The Hundred Years' War situation needs to end. I think I heard somewhere that the Hundred Years' War situation only ends when one side wins. I hope it doesn't end only if someone wins because I don't know how France wins, but I know that England wins by conquering France. So I would like to think that England could um, still go on to form Great Britain, even if it um, didn't win 100 Years' War. Or rather, like the war is still ongoing, or that it could end from just like timing out because it takes too long. I don't know. But I see that like the Hundred Years' War situation has ended. It makes me wonder if the idea is that you can't form it until the Hundred Years' War has ended if you're playing as England, because if you win the Hundred Years' War, you'll have a different formable that you want to go for, being like the Angevin Kingdom or something. I don't know what it would be. I haven't heard of there being an Angevin Kingdom formable, but that's what would make sense to me. I see you've got, yeah, Great Britain, which is a hilarious flag in this image because it's the English flag, like the version of the English flag. You've got the default English flag, where it's just, yeah, the three lions, Essex style. But then it's crossed. It's crossed with the French flag. So, they're vassals of France supposedly, and then you take that flag and now it's crossed with the Scottish and Irish flag, which is insane. There's so much busy work going on in that image. But yeah, just either destroy Scotland or make them a subject. So, is there nothing else you need? Yeah. Um. Yeah, you get lots of other like Royal Scots Navy. So you get the Scottish stuff as well. By uniting our political development domestically and extending our influence beyond our borders, we'll be able to reinforce our position in world affairs and transform into one of the foremost European powers, the British Empire. So, yeah, the situation's ended. Defeat Scotland, Wales, Balliol. And we need to own at least 41 more locations from the something. Don't know specifically what it means. Like how many more locations you need from what exactly? And here's like the Hundred Years' War starting. So I like France demands Sir Robert d'Artois. So yeah, yeah, he's a fugitive of the French court, and he's a trusted advisor of the king. So yeah, if you deny, yeah, Robert, then France might try to confiscate the Duchy of Aquitaine, kick them off the continent. So yeah, because I don't know. I assume that this is. Oh no, this is a Like this symbol here implies that it's related to the hundred. Okay, this is all stuff that's related to the Hundred Years' War. Surely this doesn't mean that England can just press a button and not get involved in the Hundred Years' War and just not make it happen if they just give up Robert. Surely it'll still happen regardless. I imagine it's probably existed, like the Hundred Years' War probably starts like before the game started. It'll probably already exist. King Philippe the Fortunate de Valois. Hmm. But yep, unsurprising, right? Yes, yes. King of England, rightful King of France, and all that. Now, it's curious to me as well that some of these vassals are just covered in hashes in England. Some of them are fully colored in. The French ones make sense because we know that not all of the French vassals are going to be involved, but it does surprise me a little bit that I'm just a little unsure about what causes the vassals to support each other. Also, England has more strength here than France? Huh. Weird stuff. Yeah, they keep talking about how they're working on the UI because a lot of people don't like the UI. I don't know why. I like the UI. So, yes. Just form a legendary order of knights. You know, they we've seen that with a few countries where they get to form an order of knights. Just you get a law, and then yeah, for the knights, and then you pick an option. I guess yeah, what the knights do exactly, and you get a bonus related to it and a penalty. The Ordinance of Laborers. It's hereby drafted in response to the outbreak of the Black Death. The declining population has created a shortage of labor, leading to stiff competition between landowners and successive wage inflation. The surviving yeomanry are able to demand higher wages and greater freedom, which in turn leads to goods being more expensive to produce. The ordinance is intended to fix wages and introduce price control, as well as prohibit the enticing way of another servant. So you issue it. That's crazy. So you yeah, this definitely is stepping on the Magna Carta stuff. Uh, Mind you, Magna Carta is mostly for nobles. The peasants aren't explicitly given those rights. So this is something where shockingly I would not want to give this out. I yeah, the great dismay of the lowborn. Yeah, I don't think I'd be very inclined to give out this ordinance because sure it makes the nobles a little happier, but it also makes the peasants very unhappy. Increases progress towards serfdom, which is the opposite of free subjects, and you get a lot of bonuses to free subjects. So you probably want to lean into that. And it doesn't give you any good things. Like it makes some people, you know, the nobles happier, the peasants unhappy, and the nobles become more powerful. And it's just none of that stuff you want. And none of it's just good. Yeah, yeah. Geoffrey Chaucer, you know, Canterbury Tales, and then you get the War of the Roses. There we go. The first of the Civil Wars, I remembered. Yes. Two junior house branches of the House of Plantagenet, the Lancasters and Yorks, both claim to be the rightful heirs to the throne of England. Sporadic fights between their supporters have already broken out in a number of provinces around the country. The heraldic symbols, a red rose and a white rose, have already become synonymous with the conflict, now commonly known as the War of the Roses. Oh, you could support either Lancaster or York. Of course, of course. You choose which one is put on the throne, I guess. Unique disaster may trigger in 1400s. Well, just saying it might. So, don't know what caused it to happen yet, which is a little bit of a shame. And they're not going to show a lot of details about it? Oh. Oh, I want to know. I want to know the mechanics for it. I was getting all excited. But no, it's just going to be a disaster that happens, but they won't show us what it does. And a unique government reform mid-game, so you can just use this for extra crown power, but less legitimacy. The Court of the Star Chamber. The Court of the Star Chamber emerged from meetings of the King's Privy Council, gradually gaining significance during the reign of Henry VII. Its name originated from the star pattern adorned on the ceiling of Westminster Palace. Oh. Court was established as a distinct judicial body separate from the council, tasked with hearing petitions for redress. So it's that. I guess this is a extra crown power thing. I don't know. I don't know why this is a less legitimacy and more crown power thing because it sounds like this. The King's Privy Council. I guess it's the Privy Council. The Privy Council then becoming judicial stuff. So yeah, okay, that makes sense because it's the Privy Council, um, gaining the right to just do a lot of the hearings that the king normally would need to hear. So they're just able to listen to a lot more issues and concerns of the nobles and peasants and stuff. Yeah. And Shakespeare, of course. Yeah, Shakespeare is going to be an event, of course. And you can build the Globe Theater and veto its construction. Never. Just the theater, gents. Ah. Yes. Romeo and Juliet. You can acquire Romeo and Juliet as a piece of English cultural art, I guess. And here's the one. Yeah, the rise of the parliamentarians. Yes. I forget who historically the guy was. There's a very famous historical figure that led the parliamentarians historically in this particular English Civil War. But I don't remember his name right now. But boiling point has been reached between the king and King Edward the Fourth. So the same dynasty has been ruling in this game, and that's reached the fourth Edward by the time that the parliamentarians are rising up. This is something in the late 1600s, mid late 1600s, yeah, for the proper English Civil War. So it can start if. Oh no, it ends. It ends if we're not in a civil war. The parliamentarians or the royalists won the civil war. All rebels in the country. Uh, two of three is not parliamentarians. Oh, so you can still end the civil war as long as, yeah, if there's rebels in the country, as long as they aren't parliamentarians or royalists or whatever, depending on what you picked. But the penalties you get are, I like the pop join rebels threshold going up. That's interesting because it means that that's a modifier that I appreciate because it means that it's just easier for pops to join a rebel group. So just nationwide, the turmoil is causing your whole country to just be more readily, uh, yeah, to jump at the idea of revolting. The war exhaustion going up per month is also bad, and the monthly manpower going down too. This is not something that an English player in multiplayer is going to want to be stuck in. But if this happens, they got to watch out. Otherwise, people are going to jump on them. Jeez. And then late game, you get the Royal Society. So marvelous idea or sounds expensive and bureaucratic. So you get a unique building to make in your capital. Yeah, if in the capital, the country get benefits by monthly research progress 0.05. Curious. And then also a little bit A little bit of extra monthly literacy. That's probably going to be very good. It's a very tiny number, but I figure that that still adds up in time. Expected cost of core. Though this is late game. Yeah, 1660s. That's not going to matter as much then. This is going to be a fair ways into the game at that point. Less time for that ticking bonus, those ticking bonuses of research points and literacy to add up. Though this sort of thing always does make me ponder the idea of various special buildings that could exist in my own mod, but not really worth thinking about that sort of thing too much early on. Special buildings are going to take some time before I'd be adding any of those. That is some deep flavor. Except when people get some really good ideas, I guess. Pride and Prejudice. Oh my god. Of course. Magnum opus. Pride and Prejudice written in Winchester. Gives England cultural tradition. Yeah, and then as they're saying much more, it's still only just a little snippet of what all's out there. They've got a lot of there's a lot of more events and stuff they didn't show. They didn't show all the events relate that like will show up during the various civil wars that'll happen, or much of the details of things like the disasters. Yes, and their mechanics. But that's all for for today and next week. For post, but scheduled differently. So Monday, the remaining Tinto feedbacks, yeah, as Hot Pocket was saying. So Chagatai and Tibet, Mongolian Manchuria, Siberia, and Oceania. Tuesday flavor for Denmark. Okay, not bad, not bad. Not bad. I'm sure Denmark will have ways they can attempt to form the Kalmar Union, which would be very cool. I hope to see that. And then Wednesday, we'll be talking about mid-game situations like the Little Ice Age and Golden Age of Piracy. And finally, Thursday, trade and economy for Dev Diaries. I think, because we know a lot about, from the Tinto talks, of course, the trade and economy stuff, but that will still be good to see. The thing I'm most excited for is Wednesday's mid-game situations, like the Ice Age and Golden Age of Piracy, because we've been told that they were cooking on the idea of a Navy-based tag. And if Navy-based tags are a thing, that will be awesome. I have a lot of things I want to do with those. And then, of course, the Little Ice Age. We may or may not have something in our own mod that would be a little bigger than a Little Ice Age. But we want to mess with climate change, stuff like that. A lot is the point. And if the Little Ice Age mechanics look good, I'm crossing my fingers, of course, that the climate will change. But I don't think that will be the case. I assume it's just going to be modifiers. They'll be like, everyone just gets less food production for a bit, which, stuff like that would be sad. I'd really like if it lets you change the climate mid-game of certain areas, but make do with what it lets us. It's one thing I definitely would like to be able to do is make changes to what areas are able to be frozen over. How severe the winters are. That's definitely something I want to see change. Show dev responses. I'm going to scan through this a little bit, see if there's anything worth noting. Yeah, this was actually a pretty big one. 3D environment team, constantly working on the map, yeah. Broken log. Oh, the active supremacy. What the? Anglicanism, yeah, okay. Starting event that unlocks the religion, the active supremacy. Take command of the church. Many Catholic pops will convert to Anglicanism. We convert to Anglicanism. But then the lords become angry. There's Anglicanism just secretly in the dev comments here is where you can see Anglicanism. Religious influence. Max religious influence 400. Building cost goes down and literacy goes up. Not bad. Not bad. Oh, they removed Terrain Test Island. No. Wales has 7 dynamic historical events, of which the most important one is an event chain about the rebellion of Owain Glyndwr. So there is actually a rebellion and some content for Wales in general, which is very exciting. It's probably not very good, but there'll be some stuff where the Welsh can attempt to revolt. It's fun. It's fun. Enclosure movement. Yeah. So more stuff that they just didn't feel like showing, but yeah. Enclosures of common land. The enclosure movement is the process by which previously commonly owned land is surrounded by walls or fences and transformed into privately owned. Enclosure allowed, enclosure disallowed, and enclosure act. Oh, Cromwell! There we go. Yeah. No, this is a different Cromwell. But Cromwell, I think, is the name of the guy in the real English Civil War that I'm thinking of on the parliamentarian side. But I don't remember for sure. There's a important guy in English history that was in a civil war named Cromwell. Any content for England to influence the Scottish Civil War? There's no scripted content for supporting the Balliol, but I guess you can send Balliol money. Eh. The House of Lancaster ruling gives England a different flag? Or wait, was that? Oh, here! Yo! Yo, you get the rose next to the English cross. That is cool. I love this. I love this. All this different dynamic flags that countries can have. That's so cool. Just take a picture of that flag real quick. Cromwellian Protectorate. Oliver Cromwell. Maybe this is the one? Pivotal figure in the English Civil War and the Republican period. Okay, okay. Recent shifts in power within the Kingdom of England have brought forth many new men ready to take the mantle and run the estates. One such man is Oliver Cromwell, Esquire, whose influence and say in matters of jurisdiction has grown recently. Just interesting. Just telling you. Oh, interesting. There is a guy. He exists. Just discussing UI stuff as usual. What triggered the War of Roses? Okay. So the War of the Roses creates the York and Lancaster dynasties. 1430. So if it's between 1430 and 1500, and you own York and Lancaster, and the two dynasties exist, and your ruler has bad fertility and no children, or is not married, and your ruler needs to be the Plantagenets. Okay. Still doesn't sound like that's going to be very easy for it to happen, right? I don't know. The English Civil War, England or Great Britain? Yeah, the War of the Roses is only for England. You could technically stop the English Civil War if you become GB. The English Civil War starts for, yeah, it needs to be at least the age of absolutism, and you need to be a monarchy. It's the rural forest. Yeah, you can't upgrade a rural settlement whenever you have a rural forest. Peasants. Revolt. English peasants. You can only do the it's of no concern if the Ordinance of Laborers hasn't been enacted. Okay. Huh. And then you get Wat Tyler's Rebellion. So working to further ado. And then it adds character. I like that there's so you're theoretically then able to that's cool. You can put in the code a character, and you can give information for that character just in the code sitting there, and then cause events to create said character, and then you can do stuff with them. That will be very useful. And then it's called the Pretender Revolt because it's basically a peasant revolution that wants to take over the country in a peasant civil war. With this Walter Tyler as the leader. Hmm. Bridge. Groundbreaking bridge cast iron bridge. That sounds very useless. There's no pressing need. Yeah, there's no pressing need for a cast iron bridge. Hmm. Patrons. Who's this guy? German painter. There's a lot of events for different artists and such. That is wild. And Anglicanism works. Yeah, just need to be. It's between 1530 and 1516. The religion needs to be Catholic. You can't be a female ruler. You need to be married, and any child is female is alive. Count one. I don't know. Oh, any child is alive. It's got to be less than one. Okay, you can have as many female children as you want, but as long as you can't have any male kids that are older than 30. Yeah, okay. The House of Tudor can appear when the War of the Roses is going on. Okay. And the Lollards can show up. Nice. But that is that for today, I believe. Including reading through all the comments. It's not a bad. That is not a bad dev diary. I kind of like the English content. Of course, there's so many little things that they're not showing as well. just because it would go on forever. I'm a big fan of that because there's just so many dynamic historical events for England that they can't show them all. But with that, I will thank you all for watching and hope to see you all next time. Bye bye bye. Bye 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 bye.